by welcoming remarks from Professor Ayu and then welcoming remarks from Mr. Juventus. And after that, we will move to the main session, presentation by our speaker, which will be guided by the moderator. And then we will close this event. So to officially open this webinar, we are honored to invite Professor Ayu as head of LPPM to deliver her welcoming remarks. To Professor Ayu, the time is yours.
Thank you, Mbak Rohma. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, Dr. Oliver Grunvogel from Germany, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Dr. Oliver Grunvogel, as a speaker, expert in AI application for life science from Germany. Yeah. Hello, Dr. Oliver. Thank you so much. The Honorable Dr. Dimas, Dr. Anif, Dr. Nukto as a moderator, and also Pak Juve from Editage, and all participants and also all researchers. Thank you for your coming in webinar using AI in writing and publication in collaboration with LPPM Universitas 11 Maret and Editage, Friday 12 September 2025. AI is rapidly reshaping the academic landscape, and now is the time to harness its full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, this seminar can help us make informed decisions on the effective use of AI tools throughout your research and publication journey. And Dr. Oliver Grunvogel will explain how AI tools support different stages of the research workflow and how to select trustworthy ethical AI solutions tailored to your research goals. Dr. Oliver will explain how practical strategies to help integrate AI into your research for better efficiency and time management, and how to navigate key challenge like data privacy concerns during research work. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Oliver Grunvogel, and also Pak Dimas, Pak Anif, Pak Nukto, as a moderator and researcher and all participants. Also, Pak Juve from Editage. I think that's all. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for Professor Ayu. And then we move to welcoming remarks from Pak Juve. To time is yours.
Selamat siang, thank you Mbak Roma, thank you Prof. Ayu, Pak Nuto, Pak Dimas, dan juga Pak Anif to letting us to collaborate together for this event. Please let me introduce myself. I'm Juve from Editage. I'm the country manager of Editage for Indonesia. We know that you probably all the participants now cannot wait to hear from Dr. Oliver. But before we start, I have a few things that I would like to discuss about, to tell you about. First is today topic will be about how to use AI to help your publication. As we all know, publication is part of our obligation as a lecturer in Indonesia. So with all your obligation and all of your duties, it becoming more and more demanding, and all of the obligation must be completed no matter what. So AI is actually there to help you. Now, how to use the AI, Dr. Oliver will tell you more based on his experience, based on his vast experience. So regarding that, for today webinar also, we from Editage would like to introduce all of you and also would like to invite all of you our AI tools that can definitely help you in your publication. We would like to introduce what we call Editage Plus, uh, which will have three tools inside the Editage Plus suite. First is Paperpal, and then Art Discovery, and also Mind the Graph. Paperpal is your writing tools. Art Discovery is where you can find reference and also find reading. Mind the Graph is basically an infographic tools. To know more about it, we will share you the premium trial for all the participants today. You can try it yourself. You can see it yourself on how it can help you actually. We will share in the chat, in the Zoom chat. You can register it yourself, and don't worry, it will be completely premium. It's not a free trial, and it will be very nice if you can also provide feedback after you try it for your publication purpose. That's the first one, and then the second one also. We already partner with UNS to provide also all the academia in UNS. Whenever you need editing support, you can go into the partner website of UNS and Editage. We will also share that in the Zoom chat. Uh, you can find whichever services that you need in the website, either editing, either proofreading, either also publication support, or even if you need help to create infographic, our team can help you. Of course, with the corporate pricing that already agreed between WNS and Editage. And then last but not least, please also to all the participants today, please also fill the feedback form that we will also share in the Zoom chat in order to also improve so we can know what we are lacking, what we can improve, because we are hoping that we can continue support UNS to become uh, the best university, not only in Indonesia, but also reputable university in the world. So that's all from me. Thank you for joining again. We hope that this session will be bringing a lot of benefit and impact to all of you. I will also share my my contact in the chat box. Any of you, please feel free to drop me a message at any time if you want to ask anything. I also forgot one more thing. We will also provide the certificate for this session also to all the participants today. Thank you. That's all. I will return the floor to the MC.
Okay. Thank you very much for Pak Juve from the kind words. And before we move to session, I would remind to all participants, please make sure to fill in the attendance link to get your A certificate. Now, let's move to the main session. I would like to invite our moderator, Dr. Nuklah, to lead us through the presentation discussion with our speakers. To Dr. Nuklah, please take over the session.
Baik, thank you Mbak Nur for your kind introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone and welcome to today's webinar, AI in Writing and Publication. I am delighted to have you all here for this important and timely discussion. I would like to extend a special thank you to Prof. Ayu, the head of RTPS Plus Maret University, and also Mr. Juve from Editage, the perspective lay a strong foundation for our discussion today. And I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Juve from Editage for the support and presence today. And of course, a warm welcome to all participants, all lecturers and students from Maret University. As scientific publication evolve the integration of advanced technologies, such as artificial intelligence, present great opportunities as well as significant ethical challenges. And our session today aims to explore these complexities, offering insight into how we can harness the power of AI responsibly and improve our writing while still maintaining the integrity and quality of scientific work. And we are honored to have Dr. Oliver with us. Dr. Oliver is a trained lab scientific with a PhD in molecular virology and a passion for technology. He has a successful academic career at the University of Heidelberg, where he published several scientific papers. He moved into Boston Consulting Group, focusing on digital technologies in healthcare and pharma, especially AI tools in R&D and operations. He also served as chief of staff for an EA company where he integrates science, medical, and technology effort with business. Currently, he is a consultant supporting biotech and life science companies on strategic topics, and he is also head of strategy and operations at Agribion Therapeutics. His extensive experiences makes him uniquely qualified to discuss the AI in writing and publication. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Oliver. Dr. Oliver, thank you for being here. And time is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for the very kind introductions to the entire UNS team, to Professor Ayu and everyone involved today. Also, thank you to the Editage team that allowed me to be here today. I'm really happy to show a little bit of what is possible today in the realm of AI with the focus on writing and publication. I hope you can all see my screen now. This should be up. I'll just set up everything here as well. AI is a hot topic. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody seems to be using it for something, but there's also a lot of confusion what it can do and what it cannot do. When is it good? When is it not good? The big thing is that AI is increasingly being pushed into everything, including science, especially science as well, which presents a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of risks, and that comes with responsibilities. So no matter how much we wish for it or we do not wish for it to happen, AI is already now transforming academic writing. There's tools to assist with proofreading, paraphrasing, citations, texts, even just mentioning ChatGPT. I'm willing to bet quite a bit of money that almost everybody, a sizable proportion of people here, have used it for some parts of their work already. And all stages are involved. It goes from the very junior students to senior professors as well. Everybody is trying to apply it, trying to figure out where AI fits into their daily schedule. However, a key thing is that comes with a lot of considerations on the ethics side. AI cannot and will not be able to replace critical thinking and the originality that we as researchers can bring to our endeavor of science. There can be risks, even unintentional risk, like unintentional plagiarism. There can be inaccurate citations, which actually still happens a lot. And there's a tendency to over-rely on AI-generated content without critically evaluating it, if this is really true, if this is precise, and if this is suitable enough for the topic that we want to discuss. So therefore, the topics that will come up a lot here are transparency, originality, and accountability in the use of AI as a researcher. And this is really important to you as well, because practically all journals are already introducing guidelines or have introduced guidelines on AI use and the disclosure of AI. And these safeguards are needed to keep the integrity and the credibility of research and publications intact. And we'll try to look at a few best practices today, how to responsibly use AI while still maintaining your originality, your academic integrity, and your role in the process as a researcher. For that, we will focus on a few topics. So I'll quickly do an introduction on the scientific writing process to make clear where we can fit in the scientific publishing process, potential applications and the tools that can be used here. Then spend quite a bit on the ethical considerations that we need to face here, and then close a bit also on the collaboration of AI with human experts on language editing, on translation, and introduce a couple of the AI tools. And Julia has already kindly mentioned that Editage is offering that fit right into the alley of AI tools suitable for the publication process. First of all, scientific writing, scientific publishing is one of the core things that we as researchers do. It's the dissemination of knowledge of our research findings to the global scientific community. And without that, we wouldn't be able to collaborate, we wouldn't be able to proceed and build on the work that others have done. Its integrity is kept in place by peer review, which the entire process might take a long time, can often be very annoying if you've been in the positions to submit. But this rigorous process actually ensures credibility and reliability of data that is being published, of findings that are being published, and also accounts for transparency and accountability. And without this knowledge sharing, we cannot contribute to the societal progress. And we also see that publications, scientific work that is being put out in different formats than necessarily a scientific paper, will shape the public discourse and can influence decision-making in areas such as healthcare, environment, also technology. Just as an example, thinking back on the Corona days, we know how much the politics was looking towards scientists, towards researchers to tell them what to do, how much to lock down, and when to open again. And also, let's not forget, the collaboration and the interdisciplinary research spirit is not possible without publication of findings, because that actually allows it to go worldwide and not just stay in your small circle at your own university or maybe within your country. So when you break down the process for scientific publishing, we'll see 7 key steps. The largest one that we are involved in as researchers is the first one, and maybe the second one as well, the preparation and the initial submission. That means conducting research. It's the smallest point here on that slide, but it's actually the largest amount of time that we will spend on that. So if we work for 3 or 4 years to put out a project, and then we'll write it up in the end, that's the biggest part. So conducting the research, gathering the data, writing the manuscript, and then formatting it, following all of the guidelines, it's just the first step in the process. We will submit it, which will then be subjected to editorial screening by the editors at the respective papers. If they preliminarily allow it, they will send it out for peer review to other researchers. With their comments and their recommendations back, you'll usually go into a revision. I've still yet to hear of someone whose paper has been accepted right away without a revision. The authors will then revise the manuscript and resubmit it, and then it can be accepted or rejected. If it's accepted, you'll still need to undergo copy editing, typesetting, proofreading to make it really clean, polished, and the final end with another approval by the authors. And only then it goes out into the wider research area when it's being published. And in all of these steps, there's a couple of things that can be very time-consuming, but can also very easily avoidable. There's a couple of challenges and pitfalls that you can already easily avoid even without the use of AI, but that we'll get to that, make it a little bit easier. There's a lot of very avoidable rejections still out there in the publishing process. For example, most commonly still seen is a lack of fit with the journal scope. So the paper you're submitting doesn't really fit the focus that the journal has, and also has openly stated what their focus is. Also failing to adhere to technical guidelines, which is very annoying because you don't want to spend 3 years of your time working on a project, only then to hear that the layout of the paper was not correct. And also basic language and grammar skills can also still be an issue in the publication process. And there's a risk of plagiarism and ethical violations if you fail to adhere to ethical guideline. Proper citations, accrediting others where giving credit is due, can lead to accusations or actual cases of plagiarism and always damage to your reputation. And also there's a whole industry of predatory journals out there that are actively trying to prey on authors that basically are a for-profit publishing business that do not follow rigorous peer review and rigorous evaluation pipelines, just trying to put out as much work as possible. So avoiding these key pitfalls can already increase your publication success quite a bit. When we look back at the manuscript submission process and the publishing process, we see a couple of areas where AI, but also human editors are used quite a lot. Of course, in the manuscript preparation, I think that's the biggest part that we will talk about today, because that's the biggest part that you as researchers are involved in. There's professional language editing services out there. There's basic AI tools that everybody can use. There's also very specialized AI tools for specific fields or scientific publishing in general. There's help for generation of images or illustrations. So these are a lot of things that we'll talk about. But just to highlight it here, this is not going to be the topic for today. There's also AI tools being used on the other side, at the journals, so at the screening and the peer review processes. Journals will screen, for example, for technical guidelines using automated systems. The systems are really good at checking off lists, see if all the requirements are met. So it's a very easy way for them to save time. And also, I would probably assume that quite a few of you have also been on the side of reviewing other people's work as a peer reviewer. And I'm assuming that some of you, and many will also use AI tools like ChatGPT to write some of the reviews, comments, and edits here. So it's sort of a race, it's sort of a development that all sides, everybody involved is using it more. So it's good to understand what they can do with these tools, what the limitations are, and especially what the risks are that are associated with it. Because in the end, the potential is huge. I mean, we've seen amazing videos, we've seen amazing progress with ChatGPT can do. When we look at areas like coding and so on, there's a huge impact being felt on the entire industry, on the need of time and people to work on certain things. For us in science, it's going into the same way. So the potential is huge, but we need to stay aware of the ethical considerations. The risk of plagiarism is real. It's very hard to check where the AI tool has found certain text fragments, and unintentionally it's possible to plagiarize others. There's a lack of originality in there. Many times still, especially in the more technical and more specialized it gets, there can be inaccurate information. For example, also fabricated citations that look like a real citation but are just incorrect, that AI is producing hallucinations. And also, it can happen to you that an over-reliance on AI may reduce your own critical thinking and academic rigor, because it's so easy to outsource all of that. That the potential is there, it can enhance your efficiency, your speed in writing, proofreading, citations much easier. Especially when you're a non-native English speaker, improving clarity and readability of texts can be a huge benefit. And also ingesting information and digesting it for you can really be a massive speed boost. If you look at literature review, AI tools offer the promise of really summarizing succinctly a whole lot of complex information, which can really improve the amount of information that you can take in. So let's talk about the scientific writing process first before we go back to the considerations again. Who has not heard of AI tools in writing? Writing here now meaning in general. ChatGPT is the most famous one, is still the most widely used one. I'll often use it today as a stand-in for many other tools that are out there. Practically every day, at least every week, there's another advancement by one of these companies in their own models. Of course, they're all claiming that their own base models are the best. The typical model here is what we have here is the Gen AI tools for generative AI. So there's a large language model, LLMs often called, that can produce text based on inputs that you give it. And these base models oftentimes are interchangeable. Some of them are better or worse at certain tasks. This is constantly changing. The ranking is often updated. The big companies, the big tech companies always typically come out on top. But there's a lot of open source models. There's a lot of free-to-use models as well, which are getting more and more powerful, that are not far behind the other models. I mean, ChatGPT, I'll use it often as a stand. I said that before. There's Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, Claude with several versions, and also DeepSeek and other companies coming up as well. And basically, there's a new model to try every week. These are very generic. They cover a broad range of applications. They're good at general text. They can do marketing stuff. They are very well trained on practically all the information that is out there, which means they're generalists. They're not specialists. They're not very good at one certain thing. They can do a lot of things. And that's also where they get imprecise sometimes, because their generalistic tendencies then are just not able to reproduce what we in science often have a very, very narrow field, a very specialized field where you need a very specialized and detailed and finessed understanding. There's other AI tools out there as well that are more tailored to a specific use case. I've highlighted here things that are tailored to writing, and especially scientific writing. There's a whole few on there we'll cover again towards the end. For example, PaperPal, so writing tool, helps you to write. It's the writing assistant, but it's really only trained on scientific content. It gives you that scientific style of writing much more than a generalistic way of writing. There's often way too nice, very happy JetGPT text. It's very different in PaperPal. For example, R Discovery can help you ingest more information. It summarizes papers. It alerts you to new papers, and so on. We'll cover that a little bit more at the end. So always discern between the very general applications and the more specialized ones for science. And why is it that AI and maybe also other software tools can be used for certain applications so well? The thing is, machines are very good at very structured processes, at very structured information as well. So they deal the best with the highest precision with checklists, with structure that can be hard-coded, with adherence to standards, cross-checking, but also now with increasing more of the use of the AI models, language quality, and semantic overlap. So in a lot of ways, what they are very, very good at is the boring stuff around the paper writing. And that's something that we can utilize, because we as researchers typically don't want to spend our time reformatting a Word document to increase the font size and make sure that the margins are correct. We want to think about the things that we have produced and think about what others have produced and integrate that on the content side, not on the format side. So in academic writing, the things that AI is doing very, very well are, on the one side, the boring things, but I'll also highlight something that's a bit more exciting to me. The boring things that I would put it is grammar and style improvement. Can fix grammar, spelling mistakes. It can increase the clarity of the spoken word, also by paraphrasing and rewriting. That means making sure the text comes out much more easily understandable for the reader, which is a very, very hard task in writing, based on my experience, to make it easy for others to understand it. Can help you in summarizing information, for example, during the literature review, extracting key insights from paper without having to read through very long papers. Can be more and more used for citation and reference management. I mean, software has been a standard go-to for reference management anyways. It's still being trained with the generative AI, the Gen AI models, because sometimes they have a risk of hallucinations. So here I want to include software tools. There's a lot of free ones. There's also proprietary ones in there, because it's also one of the tasks that software handles very well. The language translation and localization, converting text from one language into another, is a really strong suit of AI right now. It's incredible how fast the translation services have improved. It's extremely good right now. And what it allows us to do is, if we have a limitation in English, at least writing whole parts of a paper, writing entire papers, or just writing single sentences in our own language where we feel more confident in expressing the ideas that we want, and just having that translated very easily. So that helps us kind of getting over that writer's block. And we have a respect for another language, and we just can't proceed because of some technical issues. AI can help us a lot with that and makes it much easier to bring our ideas across. Then there's one thing that I'm a bit more excited about. All these were technical things that will speed up your efficiency in writing. It makes you faster, it makes you clearer, it makes you better in writing, but it doesn't give you new ideas. However, it is possible to use these AI assistants as sort of as a research assistant and for idea generation. You can basically start a brainstorming session with a weird entity, the AI in this case, that has a completely different way of thinking about things, that can give you a lot more ideas that you wouldn't have thought about. So having an open discussion, really an open discussion with it, can lead to some new ideas. Most of the time, nothing new comes out. That means you've also covered the existing tracks pretty well. But sometimes you'll find at least a kernel, a little nugget of information that you find super interesting that might change your views. And that can really help you to find research questions, structure papers, and so on. So that's kind of an interesting part as well, not just the pure efficiency, doing the same things but faster way of thinking. So the benefits really are efficiency, saving time in writing, enhancing clarity, making it better for readers, and reducing effort in a lot of the boring stuff, formatting, citations, and so on. However, as I've pointed out, the risks are really there. AI-generated content may be unoriginal, may be copied, and that can lead to unintentional plagiarism. Citations, you need to be careful around that, because AI can still hallucinate, invent sources, or misattribute them. So ChatGPT is still not very good at handling scientific citations. AI is trained on data. The data might be biased, and it might repeat that bias in there. So that those biases may be reproduced, and you need to be aware of where the training data and where the information is coming from. If you over-rely on these tools, it will weaken your critical thinking and writing skills. That goes for us as researchers. My wife is a teacher. She's also seeing it already in younger students at high school as well. So this reliance on that turns off your critical thinking if you don't constantly challenge and evaluate that. And there's a lack of transparency. It's often unclear how AI generates certain outputs, and tracing that back is practically impossible at the current stage of research. So practical situations where AI can really add value for you during the writing process. So one stage is the very early drafts, using it to generate initial drafts or an outline based on key points and ideas can be very helpful, because for me especially it is that way. If I have an empty piece of paper, it's white, or a Word document that's white with a blinking cursor, it makes me nervous. But if something's already there, some blocks that I can build on, it's much easier to change that, to improve that, to alter that, and to say where it is wrong. So with that, you have a much easier time to interact with it. The actual writing process is still up to you, and we'll also get to that why it's so important that you do that if you refine initial drafts or something. And then at the very end, AI becomes useful, very useful again, by proofreading and by clarity improvement. It can catch grammar mistakes, it catch other mistakes, it can suggest improvements to make your writing clearer and more concise, because that's what we want. We want a clear message that is as short as possible, but only as long as it's needed to be. And that's where AI shines again very well. Let's talk about the considerations and especially the risks when we're using AI in scientific writing. And I want to start that with a quote from Albert Einstein. Anyone who doesn't take truth seriously in small matters cannot be trusted in large ones either. And that's one of the key guiding principles that we'll have to follow here as when we talk about ethical considerations around the use of AI, but also ethical considerations and academic integrity in general. Academic integrity is another one of these buzzwords. It's hard to define, it's hard to make it clear. How I want to put it here, also where I've actually found a very nice description at the University of North Carolina, is it's a commitment and a demonstration to honest and moral behavior in an academic setting. And the most important part of that is providing credit to other people when you're using their ideas. It's acknowledging the contributions of other people. And if you don't do that, if you don't acknowledge that other people have contributed and where they have contributed, it's considered plagiarism. And if you want to generalize this to make it easy, be honest. That means only show the data what you have and not what you didn't have. Don't fabricate that, and so on as well. Be honest where you found information and credit the contributions of others. And that includes the use of AI. And I think with that as a guiding line, a lot of the things will get clearer. This is extremely important when we talk about publishing, because in the end, a lot of things in your career will come down to publishing. And the deciding factors, the deciding players here are the journals and the editors. And practically all academic publishers agree now that ChatGPT cannot be listed as an author. It's not an independent author, but they oftentimes require that you at least label and transparently show that you have used AI. They have not banned its use, most of them. Always depends on a journal. Please be very aware that every journal has their own guidelines and we cannot generalize this to everyone. But as a couple of examples, Springer Nature has permitted the use of such tools, for example, ChatGPT and others, in preparing manuscripts, but you need to disclose full details on that. Some of them limit the use to writing. Some of them also allow it for additional uses like interpreting data or drawing conclusions. eLife knows that everybody's using it and basically saying, please at least mention it, be clear about its use, where you used it, where you didn't use it. PNAS as well. And JAMA as well, for example, is really requiring you to report the use of AI language tools, exactly where you have been used it, what for, and what stages of the process. To make it, to break it down a little bit, what the key things are, there's 3 pillars of ethical AI use. And I'll repeat them a couple of times. I think I've also mentioned them at least once before. I really want to drive that point home. 3 things you need to watch out for is transparency, accountability, and originality. Transparency means always disclose AI system and its role in the writing process. You don't lose anything by admitting that you've used an AI tool. There's nothing to lose. Almost everybody is using it now, that's the thing. So what's the point in hiding that? Be transparent about it, you have nothing to lose, but you have everything to gain. Accountability means no matter how much you use ChatGPT or other AI tools, you as the author, whose name is on a manuscript, whose name is on presentations, are responsible for the final content. No matter what an AI tool has put out, it's your name on there, you are responsible. That means it's your responsibility also to check if information is correct, if the AI tools are appropriate, and if the right conclusions are drawn. And in the end, it's about originality. We don't want to have just context that's built by machines, again, read by machines, and we're somehow intermediate and we're not in the process anymore. Your unique voice and your unique insight as a researcher can be complemented by AI, but it cannot replace you as a researcher and your creative work. That's very important. Don't completely zone out, don't let the machine handle all of it. You need to be there, and I think that's also part of why we became researchers, because we want to work through the critical programs. We want to understand things, and we don't just want to outsource all of our work to an AI. On the topic of transparency, disclosing AI use helps maintain the trust in research by really showing, again, you're being honest about how and how much you have contributed to the paper and how much others, in this case an AI, has contributed. Goes back to the topic of academic integrity again. And also, it's trust in small matters. If you don't disclose the small matters, why would I trust you in big matters? It promotes the accountability because a reader and reviewers can evaluate the accuracy and the reliability of the AI-generated content. And it supports ethical standards. Again, full disclosure prevents the potential misuse. It complements rather than it replaces your human input. And again, it shows that it's not alone there. It's really you, the researcher, that is using a tool working in tandem with it. You remain responsible. It's a key topic on accountability, and that also concerns plagiarism and other topics. You're responsible for what you put out there. Loss of originality is also often similar, can happen to mean that an AI will paraphrase content, something that it has heard before somewhere else. And that can be very similar to the original text. And that can lead off to an accusation or an actual case of plagiarism, because you're retaining the core structure of the phrasing. It sounds like somewhere else, but it's not necessarily putting in a citation. And if you don't check the work, and if you have not read the other work, you might not never be aware that it's actually ripping off another author somewhere else. So it's a risk of unintentional plagiarism. It means, again, it's a lack of attribution. It might not provide the necessary citation that you need. That's an uncredited use of others' ideas, and again, that goes against the concept of academic integrity. And it can lead to a repetition of ideas that others have put out there. can produce paraphrases that are too close to others, to the work of others, doesn't introduce sufficient transformation, while it still seems like you have put that out there, again, without any reference or citation to it. So always remember, you remain responsible no matter what an AI tool is doing for you. On the topic of originality, couple of tips to really make sure that does not become an issue. Most important thing is review and edit all of the AI generated content that you get. Carefully read it, make adjustments, also make it align with your writing style and tone. You'll often see ChatGPT has its own style, not necessarily fitting to all of us. It should enhance you, but not replace you. Always add your personal insights. I mean, proofreading, generating ideas, sometimes it's good, but your own analysis, your own interpretations, that is what makes you the researcher, what makes you a member of the scientific community, and that's what counts. So always put that in. Don't over-rely on the AI for core ideas. The core ideas should be yours. Try to work with it, but not have it create all of the ideas that you're using. Customize it, which means often AI is generated based on patterns or algorithms. Really make sure that it reflects your unique voice and your perspective. And then again, if you have a lot of different pieces, make sure that if you put it together into a manuscript, into one paper, make sure it becomes consistent, that you don't have clear changes of tone, changes of writing style from one section to the next. That can be extremely disturbing if you read it and make it very clear that some of things were written by you or coming from your mind versus an AI. And with these 3 points, I try to summarize them into a couple of best practices that you can use. Some of that will be repeated. We've covered that before. To repeat that, this is really intentional. I want you to take some of these really simple things home. The most important one is, or the third or fourth time I'm saying it now, be transparent. Disclose when AI tools have been used in your work. That's the most important thing. Always do that. Check and verify. Always review all AI-generated content. Best example is always, if you have a citation generated by ChatGPT, you have to assume it's wrong until you've really checked it and see if you can come up with the right source. Ensure proper attribution. So proper citations, acknowledgement of sources, also sources that the AI tool is using, is extremely important. You don't want to run into risk of plagiarism. Academic integrity, very simple. Never use AI to fabricate data, to plagiarize content. Always adhere to the standards of academic honesty. That's a no-brainer that has to be clear. And don't over-rely on the AI. Use it to support your work, but ensure that your unique ideas, analysis, and interpretation remain central to the content. You are in control. You are responsible. It's your work. Respect privacy and confidentiality. Make sure that you use AI tools that comply with ethical deadlines, especially when we talk about data privacy, and even more so when we talk about sensitive information. Always keep a human in the loop. Apply human review and judgment to AI-generated content. Ensure fairness. That goes towards the topic of bias. Try to make sure that there's no bias included in the data that you have. Use it within the boundaries that are set out, and also continuously learn and adapt. There's a lot of developments going on. Stay updated on that. Also, for example, what kind of guidelines are out there at your institution, at journals, so you can remain responsible and in control. Examples for unethical AI use, just to point something out there. Over-reliance on AI, writing entire sections that are just purely copy-pasted from a machine, fabricating data, should be clear. Plagiarism, misleading citations, and missing attributions. And to make it clear what you can use it for, generate some ideas, or at least bounce around ideas in sort of a brainstorming approach, narrowing the scope of a topic, researching certain information that you need, outlining of a draft, or, for example, creating an introduction that you can then review and extensively change. Please be aware that you as an author are not the only ones using AI tools. There's an arms race on, because also plagiarism detection is heavily relying on AI, and also tools to determine whether AI or a human has written the text. There's a lot of tools out there. There's probably new tools coming out every week again. These AI tools are not completely reliable. They might flag a human-generated context as an AI text, and also the other way around, they might not catch all of that. So please be careful. Plagiarism checks will be continue to evolve. Don't ever assume that you could get away with plagiarism or even just being sloppy in that regard. It might come back to cause you problems down the road. And just to repeat it again, 3 pillars of ethical AI use, always remember that: be transparent, be accountable, be original. With that, I want to bring in a topic of balancing AI with human expertise. That means professional editors can bring AI-supported academics writing to another level. Already pointed out, AI is very powerful, what it can do with it. AI is really good at handling repetitive tasks, but human experts can bring nuanced judgment, better context understanding, subject matter expertise. So a collaboration between AI and researchers and professionals can be a best practice if that is available to you, because they also are much better than if there's a collaboration at handling ethical and contextual considerations, and it combines the efficiency of AI with the human precision that we have in academic writing. So if there's a way for you to at least consider that, I just want to highlight that here, language editing and translation services can be a big benefit to academic writing. Their purpose is to enhance clarity in the manuscript, to improve the coherence and the logical flow of a manuscript, enhance the quality overall, and also, of course, make sure adherence to style guidelines is being kept. All of this goes towards one point and one point only: increasing the chances of publication for your manuscript. Professional editors, very importantly, don't replace you. They don't do all of the work for you as an author, but they support you. They're your support that's more objective, that has a very high expertise and might offer fresh insights. But you as an author maintain the intellectual ownership. It's your paper. You are still accountable. You're responsible for the accuracy of the content, and it's up to you to incorporate feedback from professional editors selectively. You might consider professional editing services in a couple of points. If English is not your first language, this can have a big boost. If you lack confidence in your writing skills, to either improve it or to just get another check that it's actually good what you're doing. If it's for high stakes in a publication, if you're on a very tight deadline, or if there's some very specialized editing expertise that you need. If you want to use a write editing service, a couple of points. I'm getting some feedback. Unfortunately, can't mute that. Thank you. If you're using editing services, consider a couple of points. What you want to look for in the right editing service for you: their expertise and their experience, the quality of editing, what they've done before when you look at samples or testimonials from other clients, their turnaround time, what they're promising you, and also make sure that this aligns with what you need on the deadlines for submission, cost and value, and their reputation and reliability. That means if others have worked with them before, and also if others have had the right experiences with them before. Look for how they communicate, how they intend to collaborate with you. That means their responsiveness, their clarity in the communication, and their willingness to address your concerns and the things that you would like to change, what are important to you. Ensure that they're adhering to ethical standards, and also check if they have the right customization flexibility for your needs. Check what they would guarantee for you, so what their guarantees of quality for your satisfaction as an author, as well as how many revisions they would do, how many corrections, and so on, how willing they are to work with you. And see if there's any additional services that you might need from them that they can also offer out of the same offering. So this can be a benefit to work together with an AI and a human, and bring both of them together again combines the speed and the efficiency of AI tools with the precision and the expertise and experience and in-depth contextual understanding of a human. But let's go back to the AI tools as well. So what kind of tools are available to you as a researcher? I want to cover 3 today. I've already been introduced before. It's PaperPal, it's RDiscovery, MindTheGraph. These are offerings of Editage, and also offerings that are included in Editage Plus. So give me for a sec. Editage Plus gives you access to AI tools for your research. Editage is committed to research integrity, to advancing research outcomes and improving productivity. And that's the key guiding principles behind these tools. You also see here, also following the 3 pillars, that there's transparency, there's an ethical use of the information, and that there's safety, which means there's a human in the loop. There's privacy and security standards are being upheld, and it's adhering to global regulations worldwide. The first offering that I want to introduce is PaperPal. PaperPal is an academic, a scientific writing assistant. It can help you preparing manuscript while you are writing it, and it takes over several, or it helps you with several key functions that brought together can really accelerate and improve the academic writing that you do. First part is that it can provide and help you with outlines. To provide a starting point in just a few minutes, a starting point for your paper. Again, here, most often it's easier to start from something that's already on paper than having to rewrite something completely from scratch. These AI outlines can assist you, but they don't replace the writing process. They really just give you a couple of starting points to start from, and putting together the structure and the outline to make it simple for you to start, not having that blank sheet. PaperPal can help you to rewrite and reword text, even if it's just rough drafts. It can do so in a variety of ways. Paraphrase it, trim it meaning reducing the word numbers. I think a lot of us have been in a position where we had to reduce the word count for certain sections or for an abstract. And that's something that it can really do, cutting down on the number of words, but still remaining the information. It can paraphrase to introduce some variety and some different kinds of ways to word different things, and can help you adopt a formal academic tone. And it goes back to it's trained on scientific published writing, not on general writing. So it's not trained on the wider internet. It's really focused on the scientific type of academic writing. And that tone can really help you and make sure that what you put out there fits in with what is expected. There's limitations on that, and that's by design. It's not able to rewrite chunks of more than 300 words at a time. This is to ensure that you review the written text closely. 2 big reasons for that. First of all, review if this is still correct. Review if this meets your requirements and your idea of what it should look like. But also, it's a good opportunity for you to learn. If you compare what you have put out first versus the rewritten ones, I think there's a lot of kind of styles that you can pick up from that as well. And it will also incorporate terms of phrases, again, that makes it more sound academic, that are more tailored and more commonly used in this academic setting. It can also do a text suggestion of what could come next. That can be useful, for example, for introductions or discussions, where it's kind of helping you put something out there. Again, it's much easier to change something that is there, and you should extensively review that when it's compared to putting out something completely fresh. It can also integrate AI answers to questions, basically including a research search function that is backed by real published academic sources, not just AI hallucinations that you often get from more generalistic tools. So you can search for more information, it will give you an answer to that, and you can include the citations directly into the paper or into your library as well, directly from the same tool. And it also will generate citations if you save it into the tool in a lot of different journal styles, sort of handling also the citation management. PaperPal is often compared to Grammarly. Grammarly is probably the standard text editing tool to improve your writing. Biggest difference here is there's better error detection for academic text. Again, PaperPal is really focused on academic writing. Grammarly is doing a very general writing. So if you want to write a work email in your company, maybe choose Grammarly, but if you want to write a scientific paper, PaperPal will probably give you a better outcome on the text. The next tool is R Discovery. At the core, what it does is give you personalized recommendations and alerts on scientific papers, on scientific content, on mobile, email, web, and so on. It allows you to stay up to date with the latest publications. You can personalize it by what kind of topics are interesting to you and will then give you recommendations. It can also work as a Chrome plugin, so therefore you can save papers and put it into your library from anywhere, anytime. It has also included a generative AI search function. So you can not just find the paper, but you can also ask it questions, sort of like you would ask ChatGPT, and it will give you validated answers. It will give you a summary, and that covers over 250 million academic papers. The good part is it gives you the references right there. So it's trained on that content, it finds the right content, it gives you a summary, but it also gives you the references. Makes it much easier for you to find information and to understand information. It allows you also to listen to text papers and to audio summaries of the papers. And there's also a function called Shorts that allows you to consume research very easily in a social media-like style. And the last tool I want to introduce is Mind the Graph. It's a tool for scientific illustrations, infographics, graphical abstracts, and so on. You can also create AI-generated illustrations. So it's all about the graphical abstract of scientific content. The thing is here, it has a lot of visual illustrations and a gallery that is already there of illustrations, shapes, and charts that are focused on scientific applications. So for life sciences, organs or tissues or cells or syringes, what you need to have a lot more illustrations on that. And it can help you really quickly create infographics or graphical abstracts or just slides for presentations. So in conclusion, quickly summing up, first of all, scientific writing and AI. Academic writing remains an integral part of the scientific process. The use of AI tools in this process is heavily increasing, and there's a lot of tools that cover different applications. There's a lot of benefits of using AI, most importantly efficiency, but also risks and downsides that you need to consider. And it's important to observe the AI use policies that are outlined by either your institution, by guidelines, or the larger scientific field. And it's important to stay updated on that as well. It's your responsibility to follow that. On the ethical use of AI in scientific writing, please always remember the academic integrity is the commitment and demonstration of honest and moral behavior in academic setting. Again, here, if I can't trust you in small things, I can't trust you in the big things either. That means follow the 3 pillars: transparency, accountability, and originality. Always keep that in mind. This is what you need to consider when you're using AI in scientific writing. And also consider the use of professional editing services and other tools. They can help you improve the process and increase chances of publication. If the stakes are high or you're not confident in your skills, consider using such services. This is not a blanket recommendation, but consider it. Also here, transparency is required, and you as the author will still be in charge. You're in the driver's seat. You are responsible as the author. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And I hope there's something that you could take away from the webinar today. I enjoyed the session very much, and thank you for your attention. And again, thank you for the very kind introduction and the very kind invitation to be here today.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Oliver, for your insightful and enlightening presentation. We will take 10 to 15 minutes for questions. If you have any question for Dr. Oliver, please raise your hand or type them in the chat. Yes, please, Mr. Aditya. Please
so thank you for the time. So I want to ask Mr. Oliver the amount of garbage paper in this paper today. So many writers are very overwhelmed on AI, and now I'm producing many garbage paper today that can see people called AI slop. So, as an academic writer, how can we avoid this rabbit hole of over-reliance on AI, and how can we improve our writing abilities heavily using AI in many aspects of our work? Thank you, sir. So that's basically my question.
Sure. If I understood you correctly, one part is the large amount of papers that are out there, and then how to stick out by being better at the writing part. Is that correct?
So let me the question. So my question is that there are many garbage paper in this ecosystem of writing. Many of people like they are been trapped in rabbit hole of over reliance on AI. So as a how can we end this rabbit hole of over reliance on AI, and how can we improve our writing abilities? Well, we are having heavily use AI ourselves. So that's my question.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much. My recommendation here is to keep the use of AI very controlled. For me, that means using in the writing process small blocks of text, not working on an entire paper at the same time, let it generate a small text. Try, if you have the time, different tools for the same application, see what is fitting best for you. And then the most important part is if you use it to, for example, write a smaller piece, write a suggestion, review it a lot. There's two things that you can do here. You'll be able to improve it, whatever the AI puts out again by your insights. And you can still rerun it on the language side if that is an issue. If you feel that the clarity or the academic style is there, AI can help you rewrite that. But the thing is, always review what comes out and try to learn from it. Because when we're saying AI is making it clearer, it's making it more concise, that's an opportunity for you to learn, to see what actually was the changes that, for example, an AI introduced. That's the first part. You can always learn from that. And you're saving a lot of time on the writing process if you're using AI. But the question is, what do you do with that time? If you then invest it into data analysis, something that makes the science better, that's a good use as well. But it also makes sense to dedicate some of the time you've saved to learning how to do it yourself. Again, here, the critical thinking part, I've outlined it part sometimes. It's incredible how much that changes, because you as a researcher were trained to critically think. That's the key thing that we should do. But relying on AI is really letting that skill wither and die, and then at least using that to critically evaluate, critically think about what you're getting back from an AI. That's something to at least maybe keep that sharp. That can be applied to something else. So really trying to learn from what an AI is improving. It's like having your own personalized tutor, because you'll never usually have the time for a person to rewrite a manuscript or rewrite a paragraph that you wrote for you and then teach you again what they did different. So that is up to you. And I agree, there's a lot of AI tools out there. There's not a best tool for a long time. There might be something this week and something might be different next week. The thing is, remain in charge and see where it can help you. I've also seen a lot of cases where people will change their tools every 2 weeks and spend some time training a new tool or training themselves in a new tool because they think it's better, and then they do the next thing. And all they end up doing is trying to be productive while not changing a lot. So really see where it is benefiting you, where you're actually getting faster, and where you're taking something from it and not following every trend. It can be used, but don't make it the entire thing that you do. And I think that's not fun as a researcher to outsource everything to an AI. I see Arya Valente has raised a hand.
Yeah. Yeah, please, Mr. Arya.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Oliver. I'm going to ask that if AI can now produce scholarly papers that are methodologically tighter and then statistically more robust and literature reviews more comprehensive and language clearer than 90% of human researches, yet we still insist that only human can be authors. Isn't this not a defense of scientific integrity, but rather epistemic speciesism? We reject the superior output of machine not because it's flawed, but because it's not human. Even though the goal of science is truth, not the preservation of human exclusivity. Um, if that's true, are we defending knowledge or are we defending human ego? What do you think about it, Mr. Oliver?
It's a very interesting question. Goes quite into philosophical and also goes into what I think how much can we of personhood can we attribute to a AI,
Hmm.
and that goes into the definition of it. I believe in the future we might get to a point. A lot of people might call it artificial general intelligence. It's again buzzword has a lot of different definitions, but I believe at the current stage, attributing a will, attributing a full intention and the full personhood in a lot of different ways to the AI tools that we have today. In my opinion, we're not there yet. This can take quite a bit of time. And that goes again to the topic that we have in research, why we are seeing science as a person-based endeavor. We have a responsibility and an integrity that we have to uphold. We are responsible for the content that we're producing. There have been a lot of cases of inappropriate scientific conduct. I'm not saying that humans are great at it, but it allows us to attribute a will and attribute a intention to that person. With the AI tools, and I'm intentionally calling them tools now, they're not designed to be fully independent. They're being used for that, and we cannot hold them accountable to the standards that they have. They have been built for a purpose, they have been trained, and they might not have been trained on the purpose that we want them to, and they would be in a position that you need a certain responsibility to step back and think of what you're doing here, to reflect what you're doing. And I think AI is not there yet, but it's actually a very interesting discussion to have. And I'd actually like to see that evolve, because I agree in a lot of ways. The output that we can see can be more polished, can look better than a lot of humans out there. But are we sure it's accurate? Are we sure it's precise? We need to double check all of that again. And I see a potential there for small fields, for small improvements where independent AI agents as researchers can improve on certain small things when they're explicitly trained, explicitly tasked to do a certain thing. But the wider range of skills, the wider range of thinking angles that we are incorporating, I think we're not there yet.
Okay,
But
thank
this is
you.
an opinion. This is just where I see the field where we're currently standing.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Oliver.
Yeah, thank you. There are already some questions in the chat, some which are similar to the one asked earlier. The next question is maybe from Miss Ika Julian. Let me read for you, Dr. Oliver. If we want to have publication in international journal after that the journal was rejected, what AI can help to evaluate the paper so it can be accepted in the international journal? Thank you, Doctor.
So two cases to consider here. Don't know the full context. If you have received a couple of comments with the rejection, saying it didn't fit the scope or technical, or here are two things that the reviewers have said that you could change. You could use an AI tool to basically make suggestions what you could improve on the paper. Also, again, here two sub-angles. One is on the technical side, what could you improve the manuscript, the writing, the different way to describe the data that you already have. The other part might be you could ask an AI for suggestions on additional experiments to make, on additional data to produce to make it a more comprehensive journal that might be more interesting to the journal or another journal in question. Here, very importantly, if it's making suggestion of what to do, check that with a colleague, check that with your supervisor or someone who has had the experience in working with the journals. I think it can make good suggestions, but I wouldn't chase these ideas right away myself without validating if that could come up with a decent chance of improving the publication chances, but also if the work is actually doable in a certain time or amount that we can do. Also, you can ask it to basically an AI tool like ChatGPT, give it the manuscript and act as a reviewer for a journal. So it gives you the comments that a reviewer would have given you. It can be a starting point. It's in no way the absolute truth, but it's something that could provide you with a starting point on what angles to focus on.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. We have the next question from Ms. Devi Prativi. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Arfawi. Hi, Mr. Oliver. I hope my voice is clear despite of the rain. Thank you for your insightful presentation. And I would like to ask, how can we ensure that the use of AI in writing doesn't compromise the academic integrity and ethical standard? And also, if we use AI for tasks such as grammar correction or providing a second view in paraphrasing, should we explicitly acknowledge the use of AI in the acknowledgement section of our paper? I think that's, thank you, Mr. Oliver.
I'll take the second part first. My guideline always is if you consider if you should cite someone or something or not, you should always do it because you're already in doubt about that. And again, here you do not lose anything if you cite that you used AI. If you give it shout out, the same goes for a citation or a reference to another paper. You don't lose anything if you cite another person's work, but you stand to lose if you don't, if you should have. So always do that. Almost all guidelines for journals now incorporate something. Please let it report the use of AI in a certain section. It can be in the acknowledgements. Sometimes it's also required in the methods, that it's basically asking you to list in detail what kind of tool you used for what parts of the manuscript preparation or the paper. So follow the journal guidelines, but if you're ever in doubt, just report it. And the other part is how to really make sure that this is used ethically. Transparency is the first part. The second part is don't completely rely on it. Assume that it's written by a very junior intern and you'd be rechecking his or her work anyways. Review the work that has come back from the tool, see if it fits with your story, see what you can improve it. There's always something that you can improve, where you can put in another personal angle, where you can put in another insight that might not have been part of the prompt or so on. You can always improve it. So it's very important to remain accountable for the context that you put out there by reviewing and improving, altering the context that's coming back, because that's the critical piece that you are bringing into the equation as well. Probably the best papers or currently are written by people who are working with AI and not just in tandem in a true collaboration.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. To the limited time, we have two last questions from Prof. Darsono in the chat box. Dr. Oliver, can writing assisted by AI be detected as plagiarisms? If so, how can it be avoided? Thank you.
I would never assume that it can be avoided to be detected by plagiarism. If you use AI, the detection tools are working reasonably well. If a certain text has been created by AI or not, with a big error rate anyways, but these will also continue to change. So even if we were to assume that plagiarism done perfectly, which we do not do, could not be detected today, it might be easily detectable in a year. So don't ever assume you can get away with doing it as a plagiarism. Writing with AI could be, so just using a text, very honestly using AI, and it could be detected as plagiarism, yes. Two cases. One is if it inadvertently uses the text that somebody else has already put out there, and you're not aware of that. So that is always a risk that cannot fully be prevented. What can help is that you are aware of the literature. You ideally ask. You might already know that. We can't know every sentence, so that's impossible. but it's also important to use AI tools that also give you citations for certain points. That gives you more confidence that the parts it is quoting can be attributed somewhere, and it forces the AI tool to consider the citations already. This is not 100% protection. Then again, it never will be. Important to report the use of such tools. That you have used an AI tool to write that part, it already is showing 3 references, but it should have been 4. That's an unfortunate mistake. That's something that can happen, that should not happen, but something that can happen. If you don't report the use of the AI and you have 1 citation instead of 4, that can be considered close misconduct. So be careful on that. Transparency is important. Accountability, again, is important. You are responsible for the content. So check, review, try to see if there's more references that you can find on that. You can also do a reverse search. I mean, use your text, run your own text through a plagiarism detector and see if it comes up with areas that are at risk.
Yeah, we have last question from Dr. Sojia Kusuma. Is it necessary to add a disclaimer that our paper was written with the help of AI? For instance, in the harassment section, but not completely copy-paste from AI. It has been edited and refined or humanized.
If you're in doubt, I would report it. The thing is, follow the journal guidelines. If it's a paper for a journal, it will have a guideline on the use of AI, what you need to report and how you need to report it. Always follow that. If it's for an institution, university paper, it will have a similar guideline. So in case you've used it, just report it. Again, here you have nothing to lose if you describe that you have used it for certain parts, for what exactly you have used it. You have everything to lose if you don't. So just report it. That's the transparent part. It's honest about the tools that you've used. You'd also use give descriptions in the method sections of the instrumentation and the other tools that you've used.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Oliver. Due to the limited time, we need to conclude this session. A few key points and insights that we get is we already learned about the various AI tools that can potentially help us in our scholarly endeavors, from writing, finding and mapping relevant literature or literature review. We also learned the potential of combining human expertise and AI in speeding up the writing process that can often become a bottleneck for getting research published, and also it can support the scientific integrity. But the last thing, the most important key point is that as a scholar, we need to craft our scholarly work on our own and then get feedback on it. That's the end of today's session. Big thank you to Dr. Oliver for sharing your knowledge and insights, and to everyone for participating. And with that, I will hand it over to our Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Thank you to our moderator and our speaker for such an insight session. Before we officially close, we kindly remind all participants to fill out the attendance and fill out the feedback link. And we would like to take a photo for documentation. We kindly ask all participants to turn on your camera. Okay, I will take the picture. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, and now we have come to the end of our webinar. I would like to sincerely thanks to Prof. Ayu, our speaker, Dr. Oliver, and our moderator, and of course, all participants for your valuable time and participation today. We hope this webinar has been informative and inspiring. Thanks you again, and we look forward to seeing you in our future events. See you everyone, and have a good day.
though.
Yo, what is this?
Yeah. Okay. Yo.
Look how many floors there are.
Cursed vibes.
Oh, Christ.
Yo, babe, let's do an intro here. All right. And welcome to the most haunted place in Taiwan, Xinlin Hospital.
Wish us luck.
We don't need it, we got talent. Yo, did you hear that?
You're what?
Something
Babe.
like back in that hole or something.
Babe, come on, let's
No, Rose,
go.
I'm not kidding. I thought I heard something.
Babe, okay. Let's go. Such a jerk.
Yo, look at that bat though.
No fucking
Yo, the comment section's gonna say that bat was a paid actor. Yo, I ain't got health insurance though.
Yo, what is this? Are those fucking bones?
Yo, that's a skull. What?
There's blood. There's blood.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Yo.
Babe.
Holy fucking shit. Look at this place. Where are we coming from?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I was recording. I didn't see anything. I think.
No, wait, babe. What?
Yo, is someone there?
Babe, don't shout. Don't shout.
They're calling for help.
What? No. What are you talking about, babe? Something doesn't feel right, Ethan. Ethan, come back. Please, Ethan. Don't go. Don't, babe. Shit. Ethan. Babe? Ethan?
Another terrible incident has been reported in Tainan.
According to the authorities, the yet-to-be-identified victims died from suicide.
As police investigate, speculation runs rampant. Was it an accident, mischief, or something more sinister?
Couple or ghost hunter shooting for their YouTube channel.
Guys, check this out. Holy shit, they went all the way to Taiwan just to commit suicide? Do you think that's legit?
Was it an accident? Was it negligence? Or
The hospital was abandoned 30 years ago following countless lawsuits from alleged medical malpractice and wrongful deaths. Since then, it has become infamous for ghost sightings and unexplained phenomena. Dude, this shit's spooky as fuck.
Are you brave enough to explore the secrets of the Xinlin Hospital?
Guys, listen, okay? I know kinakabahan tayong lahat. Alam pa ngayon, wala tayong permit at medyo sketchy talaga yung gagawin natin. But kaya nga tayo nandito, di ba? We all want to do something different. And we're all willing to take that risk. Tama na yung playing safe lagi.
Yes.
What if we actually capture something inside? Di ba? Dude, we're not just gonna go viral. We're gonna break the freaking internet. The whole world could be watching our show. This could be the biggest thing we've ever done.
Yes!
Right?
Worldwide na tayo. Worldwide.
Exactly. And one more thing, guys. I was able to negotiate bonuses. So if we hit 3 million views, we all get double the pay. And even more if we exceed that. What do you guys think? Diba to?
Alam mo, Ken, dapat kanina mo pa sinabi yan eh, di ba?
Money talks, okay.
ikwento mo naman sa amin tong bago mong show na Strange Frequencies.
Yes, Strange Frequencies is the next project that I'll be producing under my own production company. So basically, with my fellow celebrity guests, we are ghost hunters. And we investigate and explore the most notorious and most haunted places around the world. We were thinking of doing something different for the show, so we decided to live stream the entire thing.
Pero bakit ganito na shift? At bakit ghost hunting?
Well, I've always been a fan of horror ever since I was a kid. And I'm really weird. I collect a lot of horror memorabilia. And it's always been a dream of mine to be doing a show like this.
Si Jane naman, from action, ngayon parang napupunta ka sa horror.
Horror? Oo nga eh. Ako naman, Gretch, as an actress, kahit anong genre yan, okay naman ako. So when Ken invited me, kahit super biglaan, diba? So I said yes naman right away.
Cause for concern to Ken, dapat ikaw unang nakakaalam nito. Bakit tayo mag-shoot doon? Alam mo naman palang hindi pwedeng mag-shoot.
No risk, no glory, right?
Tama.
No risk, no glory. So, yeah.
And ito, kasama ko rin to sa last movie ko.
Yeah, it was horror also, and I guess by extension, na-invite na din ako ni Ken.
Tayo yung bahala magbenta ng fear sa mga mata ng mga viewers natin.
Plus, we're all actors here, di ba?
Yeah, well,
Even si MJ.
Kaya mo yan. May pag-special mention, girl.
And si MJ naman, baka naman ma-haggard yung beauty mo dahil horror to.
Ay nako, alam mo naman being a beauty queen is being able to handle yourself in any given situation with grace. Yes. Kahit na may multo pa yan, kaya game ako mare. Focus on yourself na lang, okay?
Magalit.
I thought this is horror, pero bakit nagiging drama, ha?
Zarkaru, my man, he's a real ghost hunter and a real explorer. He has a famous YouTube channel.
Zarkaru